why do we eat food? We love food. Sustenance. So broadly, we love food, and it's tasty, and it keeps us alive. You all know me at this point, that's why I'm probably going to skip this part. I'm pretty sure everyone here has heard of me. So we love food, and because we love food, and we know it keeps us alive, we have two main reasons for eating. They're called hedonic reasons and homeostatic reasons, which is a very pretentious way of saying we're always trying to get calories in the system. Our brain is always seeking food in order to keep the lights running on a bunch of stuff that we don't even think about. A lot of these systems are autonomous, meaning that we don't even influence them. So right now, you're all breathing, I hope, but you're not thinking about breathing. If you're thinking about breathing, that's kind of super weird. You're also all digesting. Your kidneys are doing stuff, your liver is doing stuff. There's a bunch of stuff under the hood that you never think of that's autonomous, and you need enough calories to keep that going. But if we only think of food like that, that's also kind of weird, because food is also things that we associate with emotions. Very few people here love to just eat alone. You tend to like to eat with your partners or your friends, and you have certain foods that you really enjoy eating, certain things that make you happy, certain rituals that you have after training too. For me, after I train, after I spar, I love to go get milk tea. I love to go get boba. It's my thing. It's kind of my treat, my reward for myself, and that makes me happy. And I know that I'm going to get that after I do some hard training. So food is much more than just things that keep us alive. Food isn't just empty calories. Food is also emotion. So you can't separate nutrition from emotion, and I would never recommend that anyone try. But also, just because it keeps us alive and we love it, there's also something up here, our brain, that is always trying to seek more calories in order just to keep the lights on. And that is why it's so difficult to lose weight. Your brain is the main reason why it's so hard to lose weight. Because hunger is perceived as a threat to survival. Because think about how we evolved as humans. Was food plentiful? No. How do we get our food before we had like modern agriculture? We would find an animal, we'd run after it until that animal was so tired, and then we'd throw stones at it until we could kill it and then eat it. That shit was hard. Doesn't sound easy to me, right? Okay, well now you guys want to go get a steak? No worries. 2 minutes down the road to go find a supermarket. So the amount of calories that you could consume over a day's, foraging and hunting, you guys can get right down at Subway. When you really think about that, that's a super modern phenomenon. And a lot of that actually has to do with refrigeration. Refrigeration only became commercially viable around like 100-something years ago, where most people would actually have that in their life. In the 40s and 60s too, when electricity was much more ubiquitous. So if you guys wanted to go have ice cream 100 years ago, do you think that was easy? No. There's like certain places you could get it. It was probably super expensive, it was super hard to get. And now I guarantee pretty much everyone in this room has some ice cream in their freezer. And that's something we all take for granted, right? Yeah, you should. Ice cream's fucking delicious. We'll talk about that, but that is something I do recommend. Yeah, exactly. We'll get much more into that in a bit. So, it's so easy for us to get calories now, and it's never been like that before in human history. Do you think it's easy for humans to lose weight? No. If you ever look at the statistics of weight loss, that people can lose weight fairly easily, but do they keep it off? No. Correct. 80% of people that go on a diet will then regain that weight. That's fucking horrible odds. That's really, really hard, right? So some of the coaches nutrition all the time and deals with all sorts of populations, whether they play sports or not. That's fucking horrible odds. But you guys all have the advantage here of doing something that a lot of people don't. Activity and training, and something that you love. When it just comes to nutrition coaching, you can't just tell people, hey, eat less calories. Yeah, no shit. Everyone here knows that. But if you're building your body and you're trying to actually sustain like muscular activity and build something out of yourself, you'll actually get a body that can do stuff, use the calories that you're putting in, as compared to someone who's just sitting at home, not eating calories, being hungry, and not losing weight. That's the worst place to be. So ultimately, your brain is what you should always be worrying about when it comes to this. Because I've mentioned this word a load of times, we're going to talk about calories, which for some people is like a evil word, because a lot of people will associate negative things with it. What is the definition of a calorie? There's no wrong answers. Energy. But what type of energy does it turn into? Burn. Okay, so heat. A calorie is just a measurement of heat. Why do we measure food and fucking heat? That seems crazy, right? Well, okay, think of it like this. You consume something and you need to turn it into energy, so it kind of bursts into something. That's why we measure food in calories. It's just a measurement of heat. No stupid questions. No. But why that's not a stupid question is because you're going to lose more weight running in the heat rather than running in a cooler temperature. Not correct. Not all weight that you lose is actual body fat or anything like that. A lot of it is actually water. We'll get much more on that later. So, okay, there's 3 states of being. There's a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit means that you are expending more calories than you consume per day. So let's say you expend 2,000 calories. You eat 1,500 calories. You're a net negative 500 calories. You're going to lose some type of mass. A caloric surplus is the opposite. Let's say 2,000 calories is what you expend, and you eat 2,500 calories, you're going to gain some type of mass. The type of mass that you lose or gain is determined by 2 things. Are you doing training? Mainly resistance training, meaning lifting weights, but this type of stuff also does help with that. And are you consuming adequate amounts of protein? We're going to talk a lot more about protein shortly. The final state of being is homeostasis. Homeostasis meaning that I'm consuming enough calories that nothing is changing. Basically, I'm staying weight stable. What do you think your body always wants to be in? A calorie surplus, a deficit, or homeostasis, or nothing changing? Homeostasis. Why? Yeah, to a point though. There's a certain point where you don't want to eat food, right? Where you're full. He probably does a shitload more activity than pretty much anyone else in this room. So he might be a special case. But there's a certain point where you're full and you just don't want to eat anymore, right? That's your brain kind of telling you, put the brakes on, stop eating, I'm full. We have a fullness cue, otherwise we would probably overeat. So it's easiest to stay the same. Your brain does not like change. Think of the last thing I said. Your brain is the reason why it's hard to lose weight. Well, losing weight is change. Change is fucking hard. So remember, you have 3 states of being. You're in a surplus, meaning that you're going to gain some type of mass. You're in a deficit, you're going to lose some type of mass. Or you're in homeostasis. You have a calorie balance, it stays the same. The final thing that I want to kind of talk about there was scale weight. How often do people weigh themselves here? Hands up if you weigh yourself every day. Spot the fighters in the room. No, I personally don't do that anymore. Hands up who weighs themselves every 3 days. Yeah, cool, lovely. What about every week? Cool. Hands up who never weighs himself. Nothing wrong with that. Fucking hell. We have problems with that. Cool. So, do you think you should weigh yourself every day if you want accurate data? It's a bit messy, isn't it? Your scale weight fluctuates every single day, up or down 4 pounds. Main reasons why are actually hydration, but then there's also stool weight, like poop, essentially. Food weight, let's say you have a very heavy meal at night before you go to bed, you weigh yourself in the morning, that's also going to impact your weight. Stress is a huge one. Sleep is a huge one. You're not getting enough sleep, which tends to cause stress and inflammation. If you're sick, your scale weight tends to go up too. For females, menstruation tends to mess with your scale weight. So you need to give yourself time to establish a trend when it comes to weight loss or weight gain. You weigh yourself every day, you get a ton of data, but it might be kind of shitty data. So I kind of recommend you guys look at this every week, to be honest with you, unless you were in